Hey, welcome back to your favorite pre-calc class. We're going to take a look at dividing polynomials. The first type is we're going to divide by one term. We're going to just divide by a monomial. And when you're just dividing by a monomial, what I like to do is use the fact that that's a common denominator, so you can just split it up. And so that'll end up being 8x squared minus 5x plus 1. And that's how you can go ahead and divide by a monomial. Same thing here. We got 8x to the fifth. There's all over this common denominator. So it leaves 8 over 4, 2. I got 5x's on the top, 2 on the bottom, so I'll be left with 3 on the top minus 4x squared plus 3. Let's do one more here. We've got 8x cubed over x cubed minus x squared over x cubed plus 3 over x cubed. So I got 8 minus, and notice I got 2 x's on the top, 3 on the bottom. That leaves me with 1 on the bottom. And here I got no x's to cancel, so I'm just left with plus 3 over x cubed. All right, we're going to get into now some polynomial long division. This is useful when we're dividing by like more than one term, like a binomial or trinomial or whatever. 4 terms, we can divide by whatever we want. There is the nice thing about long division. You're probably familiar with doing this with arithmetic. Like for example, 178 divided by 3. Oops, 107, that's supposed to be an 8. So let's say we did that, right? I put 178 in this. That's our dividend. We're dividing by 3. And let's see what we get. So we say, well, 3 goes into, doesn't go into 1. 1's too small, but so we go to 17, right? 3 into 17, and we're trying to match that, but we can't go above it. So I say, well, that's what, 5 times? I can't go 6 because that'd be more than 17, right? So 5 times 3, 15. And then what did we do? We subtracted that 15, right? We subtract that. So 17 minus 15 gives 2. And then you bring down that 8. So now we're going 3 into 28. And I say, well, that'll go 9 times. So I put a 9 right there above the 8. So 9 times 3 is 27. And then we also subtracted that, right? 28 minus 27 is 1, right? And so we would write that as the quotient, 59, plus remainder 1 over divisor, 59 and 1/3. Well, 59 and plus 1/3 is 59 and 1/3, right? And that's called the division algorithm. We're going to use that similar division algorithm with polynomials now. So we're going to take this 2x squared plus 3x minus 35, and that's our dividend. And we're going to divide it by that x plus 5. And one more thing I should mention about this polynomial long division. 178 divided by 3 equals 59 plus 1/3. In other words, this dividend, 178, notice if I multiply everything by 3, I have 59 times 3 plus 1. So this dividend is the quotient times the divisor plus the remainder, right? All right, let's do this process. So I'm looking at this 2x squared, and I'm like, well, I want to try and match that. X goes into 2x how many times? And I like to think about it as what times x gives me 2x squared. That's how I like to think about it. If you want to go backwards, you can. You can just go, what does that give you? It gives you 2x, right? But again, that's what I like to do, is I like to say, what times x give me 2x? And I say, well, that's got to be 2x. And notice I put it over the same degree. Okay, that's just for helping me line this up. And now I'm going to multiply it. So 2x times x gives me 2x squared. 2x times 5 gives me 10x. So I multiply through, just like I did with the numbers above. All right, I multiply it through. Now, remember how when I went 5 times 3 above, then I subtracted it after I went 5 times 3 is 15, and I subtracted it, right? So if I subtract this whole thing, I'm subtracting the whole thing, which means both of those signs will cancel. So instead of putting parentheses around it, I just like to change both sides, both signs. Now 2x squared minus 2x squared, whoops, that will be gone. You should have those first terms always cancel for you. Okay. And now I'm going to go 3x minus 10x is a minus 7x, and then I bring down the next term, minus 35. Now I'm trying to match that negative 7x. So I'm thinking to myself, what times x gives me negative 7x? Or if you want to go backwards, you can just go backwards. Negative 7x over x. What would it be? Well, it would be negative 7. Right? So what times x gives me negative 7x? Hopefully you say that's a negative 7. Now I'm going to multiply through. Multiply through that divisor. So negative 7 times x, negative 7 times x is negative 7x. And then negative 7 times 5 is a negative 35. But don't forget, you got to subtract this whole thing. Right? I got to subtract this, which means I'm just changing both signs. So that'll change that to a positive, that'll change that to a positive. And now I'm going to go negative 7x plus 7x. That's gone. Again, that should be gone every time, right? And then negative 35 plus 35. Oh, that's also gone. So it looks like I have no remainder here. So 2x squared plus 3x minus 35 divided by x plus 5 is just that quotient, 2x minus 7. Get this stuff out of the way there. Let's do some more. Here's another one. 3x cubed plus x plus 5. Now when I put this, and by the way, make sure you put the right one in the box. Sometimes people will mix this up. 3x squared plus x plus 5 is being divided by x plus 1. Who goes in the box? There's a very Vegas way to remember that. Who gets in the nightclub? The person at the top of the list gets in the nightclub, right? So put that 3x cubed plus x plus 5. Now, if it's not going down by degree, you got to put a placeholder in so you don't screw it up, or at least I like to put that placeholder in. Notice there's no x squared term. So I'm going to put in a no x squared. I'm going to put in a 0x squared. Then I'm going to put in that plus x and the plus 5. What's it being divided by? X plus 1. Person at the bottom of the list does not get in the nightclub, right? And now I'm thinking to myself, what times x gives me 3x cubed? Or if you want to go backwards, just take 3x cubed divided by x. Right? But what times x gives me 3x cubed? Hopefully you say, yes, perfect, 3x squared. Put it above the other x squared term. Okay, so we know when we finish. It's just a nice way to organize this. Now we're going to multiply it through. 3x squared times x, 3x cubed. 3x squared times 1, 3x squared. Don't forget, you got to change this sign. Now 3x cubed minus 3x cubed, that's gone. 0x squared. See how it lines up nicely for me? I have 0x squared minus, the lines up my like terms, right? 0x squared minus 3x squared. Well, that's a minus 3x squared. And you got to bring down the plus x. And now I'm thinking to myself, what times x gives me negative 3x squared? What times x gives me negative 3x squared? Or you can go backwards and just divide negative 3x squared divided by x, and it tells you that that would be negative 3x. So minus 3x. Now let's multiply it through. Negative 3x times x is negative 3x squared. Negative 3x times 1, negative 3x. Don't forget, subtract it. So that'll change both signs. And now we've got negative 3x squared plus 3x squared. That's gone. So I got x plus 3x. That'll give me a 4x. And I got to bring down the plus 5. And now I'm trying to match the 4x. So I'm thinking of what times x gives me 4x. Good. Please say that's a 4. Let's multiply it through. 4 times x, 4x. 4 times 1 plus 4. Don't forget, change those signs. 4x minus 4x is gone. 5 minus 4 is a 1. Okay, it looks like I have a remainder. So 3x cubed plus x plus 5 divided by x plus 1 gives me quotient, 3x squared minus 3x plus 4, plus remainder, remainder over divisor. Remainder over divisor. So 3x squared minus 3x plus 4 plus 1 over x plus 1. Quotient plus remainder over divisor. Now if you look at this next one, notice it's kind of ugly. It's not in order. I'm going to put it in order. So put the cubic first, minus the x squared, then the x, and minus 2, divided by what? Our divisor here is x squared, but there's no x term, 0x plus 2. Now notice we're dividing by an x squared term. The nice thing about polynomial long division is I can divide by anything. Okay, we're going to get into what's called synthetic division here in just a second. And the problem with synthetic division, it's a nice shortcut way to do long division, but you can only divide by things of the form x minus k. That's the problem with synthetic division. Polynomial long division has no restrictions. You can divide anything you want and apply your division algorithm. So let's go ahead and do it. Let's throw in our 3x cubed minus x squared plus x minus 2 divided by x squared plus 0x plus 2. Again, I like to put the placeholders in. That'll help me. And I'm thinking to myself, oops, that's an x squared right there. Thinking to myself, what times x squared gives me 3x cubed? And hopefully you say 3x, and I put it above the other x. Multiply it through. 3x times x squared, 3x cubed. 3x times 0x, 0x squared. 3x times 2, 6x. But don't forget, we got to subtract those, right? So that's going to be gone. Negative x squared minus 0x squared, well, that's a negative x squared. X minus 6x, that's a minus 5x. And then we're going to bring down the minus 2. So now I'm trying to match that minus x squared. So I'm thinking, what times x squared gives me negative x squared? Hopefully you say minus 1. Negative 1 times x squared is a negative x squared. Negative 1 times 0x is a negative 0x. Negative 1 times 2 is a negative 2. But don't forget, we got to change our signs. We're going to subtract all that. So negative x squared plus x squared, that's gone. Negative 5x plus 0x is negative 5x. And negative 2 plus 2 is gone. So it looks like we just have that negative 5x. So dividend divided by divisor is quotient. So this equals quotient plus that negative 5x over the original divisor, x squared plus 2. And you can write it that way, or if you want to, since you got a plus and minus, you can write it this way as well. Either of those is fine. All right, let's do another one here. In fact, this would be a good one to pause and make it a U-try problem. Got this negative 3x to the 4th. You got no x cubed. You got no x squared. Minus 2x minus 1 is divided by x minus 1. I'm thinking to myself, what times x gives me negative 3x to the 4th? And again, if you're not sure, then do the opposite. Just do the division instead, right? And you'll recognize, oh, that's got to be negative 3x cubed. And put it over the other cube, right? Now let's multiply through. Negative 3x cubed times x. Negative 3x to the 4th. I should match it exactly. Negative 3x cubed times negative 1. positive 3x cubed. Now we're going to subtract the whole thing, so that's going to change both of those signs. So that's going to be gone. Negative 3x to the fourth plus 3x to the fourth gone. 0x cubed minus 3x cubed, that's a negative 3x cubed. Bring down the 0x squared. And now we're going to match that negative 3x cubed. So what times x gives me negative 3x cubed? And hopefully you say negative 3x squared. Now let's multiply it through. Negative 3x squared times x, negative 3x cubed. Negative 3x squared times negative 1, positive 3x squared. Don't forget, you got to change the signs. Negative 3x cubed plus 3x cubed, that's gone. So now I got 0x squared minus 3x squared is a negative 3x squared. Bring down the minus 2x. Now we're matching the negative 3x squared. So this is going to have to be a negative 3x, because negative 3x times x gives me negative 3x squared. Negative 3x times negative 1, positive 3x. But don't forget, you got to change those signs. Negative 3x squared plus 3x. So now I got negative 2x minus 3x is a negative 5x. I'm going to bring down that minus 1 and match a negative 5x. So this has got to be a negative 5, because negative 5 times x is negative 5x. Negative 5 times negative 1 is a positive 5. Don't forget, we've got to change those signs. Negative 5x plus 5x gone. Negative 1 minus 5, negative 6. Okay, there's our remainder. So the answer to this is quotient plus remainder over that divisor. And this problem, you guys, we could have done this with what's referred to as synthetic division. Synthetic division is simply a alternate to long division. So now it has some restrictions. Polynomial long division I can divide anything with, but synthetic division I can only divide by something of the form x minus k. I can only divide by something of the form x minus k. So what you want to do when you're dividing using synthetic division is you go ahead and put the k in the box. So this is, let me rewrite this another way. X minus a negative 2 is the same as x plus 2, right? So our k here is negative 2. The k follows the minus. So our k here is negative 2. I put the k right there. That's where I put my k. And now I'm going to put in my coefficients of the dividends. So 1, 1, negative 7, negative 13, and 15. As long as it goes down by degree. If it does not go down by degree, then put a placeholder in 0. Now this is where my remainder is going to pop out right there. So I like to put a little box right there. Now here's the little process. You drop the 1 straight down. 1. Okay? And then you multiply 1 times that k right there. 1 times negative 2 is negative 2. You put it right there below the next line. Negative 7 minus 2. So you add it, you subtract that vertically. Add or subtract that vertically, whatever it is. You just use the sign. Negative 7, in this case, minus 2, negative 9. And then I multiply by k again. So negative 9 times negative 2 is a positive 18. I go ahead and put it right there. And now I got negative 13, and that's a plus 18. Well, negative 13 plus 18 is 5. And then 5 times negative 2. So multiply it again by k. 5 times negative 2 is negative 10. And 15 minus 10 gives us 5. So how is this our answer? Well, these are the coefficients of our quotient. So it's 1x. Now I'm dividing by something of the form x minus k. So it's going to be 1 degree less than the dividend. The original dividend had a degree 3. So it's 1 degree less than that. So this is 1x squared, because I started as a x cubed, minus 9x plus 5. This is my remainder, 5 over my divisor, x plus 2. So x squared minus 9x plus 5. I'm going to erase that 1 in front there, you guys. Don't need that. So x squared minus 9x plus 5 over x plus 2. Now, let's go ahead and check it. Like, what if we had done this with long division? Well, we could have done it with long division. I'd have an x squared. I'll go ahead and change those signs. I'll go ahead and change those signs. And then change those signs. And see, there's my remainder. So x squared minus 9x plus 5 plus remainder over divisor. Same thing, right? So we could have done that with long division. Probably take you a little bit longer than synthetic division. We're going to practice a bunch of these using synthetic division. Just remember that I can only do synthetic division when I'm dividing by something of the form x minus k. In this case, our k here would be 3, x minus 3, x minus k, right? If I was dividing by x plus 3, my k here would be negative 3, right? So my k here is 3. Now I'm going to take the coefficients of my dividend. Now notice this is not in order. I got to make sure I put this in order. X to the 4th minus 2x cubed plus 3x squared. There's no x, 0x minus 4. So I got to put a placeholder in. So 1, negative 2, 3, 0, negative 4. 1, negative 2, 3, 0, negative 4. Kind of making a mess of this. Let me erase this. Those are the coefficients in order of my dividend. And now we're going to run through the process. Drop the 1 straight down. Multiply it by k. 1 times 3. 1 times 3 is 3. Negative 2 plus that 3. It's a positive 3. Negative 2 plus 3 is 1. 1 times 3 is 3. Now I have 3 plus 3, 6. 6 times 3, 18. 0 plus 18 gives us 18. 18 times 3 gives us 54. Negative 4 plus 54 gives us 50. There's a remainder. Okay, so these first numbers here would be the coefficients of my quotient. So 1x to the what power? Well, we started with a power of 4. So this will be 1x to the 3rd. It'll be 1 degree less. Plus 1x squared plus 6x plus 18 plus remainder over that divisor. The divisor was originally x minus 3. So let's just rewrite that without the ones. X cubed plus x squared plus 6x plus 18 plus remainder over divisor. Now why don't you do that next one as a you try it problem. Pause the video. Alright, hopefully you recognize you need a few placeholders with that dividend. So go ahead and check your setup right there. And you're dividing by something of the form x minus k. So your k here is 2, right? X minus 2, k is 2. So put that 2 in the box on the far upper left. And now let's go ahead and go through the process. That 2 will just shoot straight down. The first one just goes down. And then we multiply by k. 2 times 2 is 4. 0 plus 4 is 4. 4 times the 2, 8. Negative 6 plus 8, 2. 2 times the k, 4. 0 plus 4 is 4. 4 times the 2, 4 times the k is 8. Negative 14 plus 8. Negative 6 times 2. Negative 12. 0 minus 12. Negative 12. So here's our coefficients of our divisor. 2. Now it's 1 degree less than we started with. I started with a 5th degree, so this will be x to the 4th. plus 4x cubed plus 2x squared plus 4x minus 6 plus remainder of negative 12 over divisor, x minus 2. And there we have it. Well, thanks so much for watching or taking notes on dividing polynomials. See you next time.